Welcome to the fourth installment of the Timepiece Sessions. We are going to answer the question, why is it so hard for me to manage my time? If you're struggling to manage your time, one of these thoughts might have crossed your brain at some point. It must be because it's impossible because of my schedule. It must be because I'm just not working hard enough. It must be because I'm not doing everything I can, which is another flavor of not working hard enough, that thought, which is thinking that you need to do something more, like reading more law books. I had this actually happen where a woman, a lawyer I talked to, thought that reading more law books would be helpful because then she wouldn't be wasting so much time needing to research the law when she got a new case. I have a newsflash for you if this is something that's crossed your mind. We will never be able to read all of the law books, no matter what area of law that you practice, and there will always be new law. So that is not viable. Or maybe you had the thought, I'm a hot mess, or I need to get more organized. And that's why it's so hard for me to manage my time. Or maybe you've thought, and oh my gosh, I thought this thought for so long and it was so painful to me. I should be able to figure this out on my own. Oh my gosh, that was a painful thought for me. It's so funny because when I first started my business on top of my law practice, because I was working full time as a criminal prosecutor, right? I was not the time management queen that you know and love today, right? I believed all of the things that I just mentioned to you. I believed that, all the things that school taught us, all the things that school taught us were things that I could then apply to my law practice and the problems I was having managing my time. So I bought books, I downloaded booklets, I listened to teachers on podcasts for my business, right? Really trying to figure things out all on my own. Even though I was getting outside help from like podcasts and stuff, I was still treating that information like information I was receiving at school. And then I'd come home from the office. I'd stare at the things that I'd printed out or notes I'd taken from listening to podcasts or programs that I'd bought. And I felt horrible that I was doing nothing. Right. Then I'd organize them so I'd feel productive. It was really kind of hilarious. And when I look back, I was in a total burnout cycle because I wasn't managing my time or my mind around the work that I was taking on building a business. So it's really fascinating to just watch how we use the school system, the old way of doing things, and we bring it into our profession. And we think we should be able to do all of the things because that's how school worked, right? Like of course, we got the work that we needed and we would be able to figure out how to get it done in time. But that's not how managing time works in a legal practice. Is any of this ringing bells for you? So I truly thought I wasn't working hard enough, that every moment I wasn't working was just me being lazy. And when I thought that, I felt waves of debilitating shame. And I would work harder and work harder and work harder. And it didn't feel like I was getting anything done because I wasn't getting anything done. I was taking on tasks that were not helpful. And this is part and parcel with the procrastination episode that I did. And you can go back and you can listen to that one. As it turns out, I was not lazy. I simply didn't know how to manage my time, my mind, or my emotions. So, those are the three things that we need to really be able to do in order to change, right? We need to get better at anything in our life. We've got to manage our mind, we've got to manage our time, and we've got to get good at feeling negative emotions. That's it. I mean, I say it like, hey, it's simple, but we've actually got to implement it and not implement it like we did things in school where we read it and regurgitate it. This requires a different way of being in the world, taking action in a very different way. And humans are not taught how to do these things. So it makes perfect sense that you would be having trouble managing your time. So here's another problem. As long as we intimately connect the work that we do with our self-worth, we are not going to be able to manage our time effectively. For me, I made any failure at work mean I was a failure. When I started learning how to manage my time, when I started seeing, oh, clearly managing these stacks is not helping me get the result that I want, I made that failure, that mindset of failure, to working a calendar, which meant I didn't have the proper mindset using it. So I made, whenever I couldn't manage my time, I told myself I was a failure. And I told myself I couldn't do it. Every setback I had, I made it so personal because everything that I had really built myself up to believe had to do with the things that I do in the world determine my personal value. The people I help determine my personal value. We've got to break this link in order to make progress. So I needed the mindset piece to properly use the calendar and then make the impact on managing my time. And I learned how to manage my emotions in the process because that was an absolute essential thing. I had to learn how to unravel that debilitating shame so I could get things done and manage my time in a way where I had a life and I wasn't stressed out or overwhelmed. Now, if you haven't listened to the last episode in the timepiece sessions where I answered the question, why do I work so much? I highly recommend you go back and listen to that episode. So this problem we're talking about here, why is it so hard for me to manage my time, is also connected with what I hear a lot of lawyers say, which is, if I haven't done it before, what makes me think I can do it now? And if this is you, I want you to ask yourself if you've had the mindset piece, the time management piece, and learning how to get good at handling negative emotion pieces all together, because I guarantee that you haven't. And you need all three to manage your time. And as long as we believe all the things that our brain tells us about how we should just know how to do things spontaneously, or that we're not working hard enough, or that it will never happen because it hasn't happened before, we won't make progress, period. And I truly think when I look back on my education, I picked up things so easily that it really hurt me in the future. So when I was really little, I picked up on things super easily, not realizing that it wasn't always going to be that way, that there were going to be things in my life one day where I wasn't just going to snap my fingers and know the answer and be the first person to raise my hand in class. So we've got to just know that it's different when you're in a legal practice. And managing time is one of those things that's different. And we've got to wrap these three elements I'm talking to you together to really help you make change. We've got to break free of that old school way of thinking so that we can do this. That requires us to step out of our comfort zone and learn those three things instead of doing the same thing over and over again, telling ourselves the same thing over and over again, hoping that maybe it's going to be different this time. Einstein did not say this, by the way, but it is attributed to him. So the quote goes, doing the same thing over and over, hoping for a different result, is insanity. And it's definitely making life harder than it needs to be. And I made my life incredibly hard, and I changed everything when I learned these three skills. You don't have to make your life so hard. I teach the components of managing your time, managing your mind, and getting really good at feeling negative emotions during our 12 weekly calls in Timepiece for Lawyers. You're going to learn all of these skills and so much more. Inside of Timepiece for Lawyers, you're not only going to get coached by a master certified coach, that's me, but you are going to get the benefit of learning from other lawyers in community. I am only enrolling 15 lawyers to give you the absolute best experience. And you know that these lawyers who are joining us in Timepiece for Lawyers are heart-centered lawyers who have supportive energy because they're in my world. The only people who listen to this podcast, especially the only people who are listening to the end of one of my podcasts, are lawyers who want to change and who resonate with this message of creating a safe environment for others to change too, because you want to evolve. There are so many bonuses inside Timepiece too. Like, I'm so excited about giving these to you because they are absolutely mind-blowing. You can learn all about them at the enrollment page at dinacataldo.com/timepiece. That's TIMEPEACE. And here's just a few bonuses. I really want to mention these. So you're going to get 3 bonus calls in case you maybe want to get a little extra coaching, or you miss 1 or 2 of our regular calls during our time together. Then you get all the coaching that you want. You're going to get trainings on hiring and creating stellar SOPs to streamline your practice. You're going to get a bonus training on confidently raising and communicating your rates. I know this is something that a lot of lawyers struggle with. You are going to get access to the Focus Hour, which is a co working space for my clients where you work around lawyers you actually like. We do it once a month, and it is so effective for completing projects that you've been putting off. I've been getting really great responses about the work being done in these sessions. And there's more. Go to the enrollment page where I've outlined everything for you step by step at dinacataldo.com/timepiece. Timepiece is the place to learn the skills you need to manage your time, your mind, and your emotions. You are going to be able to manage your time using this program. I hope to see you inside. All right, my friend, I will talk to you in the next episode.